Shalom. I want to start by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Kakadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutation to the hopeful elect that is pushing this word in the four corners, highways, and byways. Once again, all praises, glory, and honor is due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Kakadash. All right. And this lesson gonna be, titled something like lose it all or risk, lose your job or risk losing the truth. You choose, right? Something like that, right? Because in this truth, you gotta, and in life period, you gotta keep the main thing, right? The truth is not supposed to take backseat to anything basically in your life, because once you pick this up, it becomes your reason for living, all right? The main force behind your existence, right? So, hey, you choose what you want to do. If you want to, either keep it the main thing or risk losing everything, all right? Because we see men fell away from this thing and they lose their life. They lose the women that they was dealing with. They lose their self, right? They lose status in society, right? They lost their mental health. The woman they was dealing with, kids, all these things, I saw on other brother side too. But I mentioned me because I've been in this truth a very short time, right? Only about 7 to 8 years, somewhere between 7 and 8 years, right? And already seen a lot, right? Or already seen enough to know what is going to happen if you don't keep this truth the main thing. And I must say as well, it happened to me personally, because there were times when I probably wasn't doing my best and I had to suffer the consequences, right? This video was actually inspired by a clip a brother shared in the group, in our group chat here, GMS Guyana, right? Let me just put this up real quick. Boom.
Lest there be in any of you an evil heart of unbelief.
Yeah, and that's you guys out there. You don't believe in this thing. This is why you would make stupid statements about, you can't do the work of the Lord because you got to work. Yeah, of course, the scriptures say you don't work, you don't eat. Yeah, you got to work, right? If you could get a better job, yeah. Is the economy fucked up? Yes. If you have an opportunity to get a better job, yes. But the scriptures say, I have been young and now I'm old, never have seen the righteous forsaken, nor seen begging bread. If you're doing what you're supposed to do, the Lord will always make a way for you.
Hey, the Elder Ayash, he got a sit-down series he do called Lunch Break Precepts, where he at work and on lunch break, and he doing the work.
That's it.
So there ain't no fucking excuses, man.
Yeah.
Hey, you got GMS at the job. I mean, you got brothers that be sitting in the car with those. Man, no excuse, man. Ain't no fucking excuse, man.
The Lord ain't counting to that. There's no excuse you can give for not doing the work of the Lord. You be in a coma or you be dead.
Okay, Salakia. Verse 13, but exhort one another daily. What?
Right. So, hopefully you brothers saw that clip, right? But it's basically the elder apostle Ariamla, and I think that's a next elder. Not too sure who the elder is, right? But they was getting into, some brothers would say they have to work, so they can't do the works, right? Or let's say some men will say things like that, and it doesn't have to be a job alone. Sometimes, your woman, sometimes kids, sometimes your mother, sometimes some sort of obligation, right? You might be an athlete and you gotta compete in certain things or whatever, and it causes you to miss the works, which is pretty much inexcusable, right? Because the elders, right, starting with Elder Apostle Andong, right, made provisions that, hey, if you can't do the work this day, then you should still try to do the work another day. The Most High ain't gonna punish you if you can't do the works on a specific day. You know what I mean? Right? Unless maybe whichever head of the camp that you're in give an order that brothers should only be doing the works this day, then you should try to make it for that day specifically, but otherwise, if you're not able to do the work on a specific day, right, the chosen camp day for your camp, then you could do the work another day, right? You could still make your videos, you could still you could still participate, you could still give your effort then to do the will of the Most High, right? Hey, and one thing I learned in this truth, in my very short time in the truth, is that not to worry about anything, just say the Most High is gonna take care of it, which he always does. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, everything is gonna take care of itself, and that is 100% true, right? Matter of fact, the apostle quoted that scripture. He said, "Never see the righteous forsaken, or the seeker begging bread." That's in Psalms. Pretty sure it's in Psalms, right? Psalms 27 verse 25. It says, "I have been young, and now I am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread." Right, so the righteous has never been forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Right, so you have to be careful, right, when you don't when you're not doing what you're supposed to do, because it's a contract we enter in with the Most High, right? And his end of the contract is that he's going to take care of us as long as we do his will. Even going back to the time in Egypt, right? When the nation of Israel, primarily the men, made that covenant with the Most High to do his will and to observe his commandments, right? that was our end of the deal, right? And his end was that he's gonna take care of us in every single way. Now, if you're not keeping your end of the deal, the Most High is gonna deal accordingly with you, right? And that goes without saying, because it's not fair that only one hand of the covenant is being kept. All right, and the Most High doesn't go back on his word. He doesn't break his end of the contract. The error is with man. All right, I know I went off on a run there a little bit, but the point is that as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do in this truth, the Most High is gonna take care of you. And you have to be patient too, because remember, we've been wicked for a long time. So we now trying to get right. Trying to get right. Hey, you got to show some sort of diligence before the Most High, actually, pick you up, right? Don't think you could, come in this truth 1 week, 2 week, and everything in your life turn around and be peachy, right? Matter of fact is the quite opposite. In the beginning, it's gonna be rough, all right? Rough in the term of just making adjustments in your personal life, and withstanding the trials that the Most High is gonna put you through, because throughout this truth, the Most High is gonna test you, right? He's gonna test you to make you stronger, because without those tests, then you can't grow, right? And you have to be patient, you have to be diligent, and keep doing what you're supposed to do, right? Hey, let me stop talking so much and get into the precept, right? Yeah, this is Matthew chapter 6. Was it 7? No, 6. I can't. Matthew chapter 6 and verse. I read from verse 19. It says, "Lay not up for yourself treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." Right? So, basically, you shouldn't, for brothers that, for men that like to, work to gain or to maintain a certain status in this life, right? Which is good, but just as long as it's not affecting you doing the works of the Most High, right? Don't get me wrong. If you work in 12-hour shifts, 14-hour shifts, whatever it is, right? According to your ability, right? You could. But just remember that the Most High come first, all right? The works and the will of the Most High comes first. So if you're able to do that without, without affecting the truth, all right, then you go ahead. If the Most High put a spirit on you, right, to work 12 hours, 14 hours, right? But if you're going to be doing that and it's going to affect you doing the works, then by all means, forget though. By all means, forget it. Right? Let the Most High come first. Sometimes you have to let a few dollars go, in order to put the truth first. All right? Which leads me to my next precept, right? It says, which one of you let's see, which one of you by taking more you could had Salakia, but hey, you brothers know the precept, right? You see which one of you by taking worry could had 1 inch of flesh, roughly paraphrasing, right? It's basically saying, hey, we don't survive off of our own strength, Men, we really can't do nothing for ourselves, right? The Most I do it all things, and don't ever get it twisted, right? This is Philippians 3 and verse 8. It says, ye doubtless, Salakia, it says, yea, doubtless, and I count all things but as loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Yahushua Mashiach, my Lord. Right, we count everything as loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Yahushua Mashiach, because the world doesn't compare to the knowledge of Yahushua Mashiach, right? So we should give everything up to obtain that knowledge, especially a silly job or a silly woman, right? Or a silly hobby or, pastime, whatever you want to call it. You should give it up for the excellency of Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai. The excellency of the knowledge of Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai. Right? Because that is what, true wealth, true riches, true health, and every goodly thing starts from. All right, it starts from the knowledge of Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai, right? And the excellency of it, right? Because in this truth, we steady have to be perfecting ourselves, perfecting our craft, all right? Because every day we learn something new, and every day we keep perfecting our weapons, all right, to fight this spiritual battle, all right? continuing, it says, "For whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and do count them but dung, that I may win Yahweh Shai Mashiach." Right? And we should be in the same mindset, right? This, whatever thing is written aforetime is written for our learning, right? So this should be every brother mindset, that we should count any loss as dung. All right, you know, you miss out on a few millions, you miss out on an opportunity to get a good piece of work, you know, for brothers who work like, you know, day jobs and stuff. You know, you miss out on a couple thousands, you know, whatever. You should count it as dung for the excellency of the knowledge of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, right? You know, don't complain. You know, hey, I've seen, you know, enough is talking, but I've seen tutored with the same kind of approach, right? You know, if they miss an opportunity, they'd be like, fuck it, you know, whatever, I had something else to do, right? You know, Muslims brothers that have this truth, you know, and have to put things aside for the truth. Obviously, you have to do that, right? You shouldn't even be a conversation. It shouldn't be a debate. It shouldn't be a back and forth, right? You know, hey, obviously everybody got their obligations, you know, the situations at home or whatever, what's not. But hey, like the apostle just said in the video, is that the only time you shouldn't be doing the works is if you're in a coma, or if you're in what you call it, if you're in a coma, or if you're in the grave, right? You know, your spirit gone back to the Most High, and that's the only time you shouldn't be doing the works, right? You know, and this is something, you know, so me personally, I could speak that, hey, you definitely have to keep putting the truth first, because the Most High is gonna show you all kinds of mercy, all right? That's one. And two, he definitely is gonna have your back, so to speak, all right? He's gonna watch over you, all right? So with that, hopefully this lesson was edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and sanitation to the awfully elect. I say shalom.